Welcome back to Grumpy's Kitchen and Provisions. I'm Mrs. Grumpy again, and this is another edition of Kitchen Takeover. Today I'm going to show you a cheesecake. It was a recipe that we developed back in late 97, early in 98, when I was working with this fabulous team of pastry chefs. It's an excellent cheesecake. It is one that I always go back to when I'm looking for a cheesecake to make. Recipe always works, it always wows, it freezes well if you decide to make a lot. You can also make it in small batches and gift it like at the holidays. We're going to start with the graham cracker crust, which is a classic cheesecake crust option. So this is about a sleeve and a half of graham crackers. I ran them through the food processor to get them nice and fine. You can use any cookie you want to for a base. Around the holidays, we will often use ginger snaps to give it a more festive flavor. You could use vanilla wafers, chocolate wafers. Really, you're only limited by your imagination. So we're going with the traditional graham crackers today. And then I have 2 ounces of melted butter. And we're just going to stir all that together. The next thing we're going to do is get our pan ready. So I'm using a traditional cake pan to bake this. I'll be using a water bath when I bake it. We'll talk about that in a minute. You could use a springform pan. When I was first learning how to bake, first making cheesecakes, I always used a springform pan. I never had a problem. I went to culinary school, learned how to make them in cake pans, and anytime I've tried to make them in a springform pan, ever since, it has bombed. So I stick with what I know, which is making it in this. So you want to do a parchment liner. This is critical. You just run around it with your pencil so you have the shape, and we're just going to cut this out. If you cut just inside the line that you drew, you don't have to worry about getting any pencil lead in your food. We're also going to put the traced side down in the pan, so it wouldn't be a problem either way. We're going to go ahead and spray that, lay our parchment in the bottom, and I usually just give it another quick spray. Add our graham crackers to the pan now. You can do as thick or as thin of a crust as you like. Everybody has their preference. Just want to make sure it's pretty even in there. You can press it in with your hands, or you can use a nice straight-sided cup and just go around, pat it into place. That looks good. I have in my mixing bowl 24 ounces of cream cheese, 3 of the bricks that has been softening at room temperature this morning. So we're going to go ahead and start mixing that. It is important at the beginning that you mix your cream cheese and your sugar to aerate your batter. You don't want to over aerate, because that's when you will get a cheesecake that will rise and fall and crack and not look as pretty. But this is your best opportunity to add any air into the mixture. We're going to add into the 24 ounces of cream cheese 7.5 ounces of sugar, or about 1 cup. We're going to go put this on our trusty KitchenAid and get started. Let me tell you what else is going to go in there. We're going to have 6 eggs. We have 8 ounces of mascarpone cheese, 2 ounces of sour cream, and the zest of 1 orange. Into the KitchenAid, we're going to lift that bowl up, and we're going to start You can see how smooth that is because the cream cheese is soft. One important thing is to make sure you are scraping the sides of your bowl from time to time and the beater, so you don't get any blobs of cream cheese that aren't mixed in properly. You don't have to have a KitchenAid to make this. You can do this with a handheld mixer, although it can put a strain on them sometimes. But if you have the means, I would highly recommend a KitchenAid. I have had this one since the early 90s. It has seen me through moves, through culinary school, through cooking so many meals. I make bread with it all the time. It is trusty, dependable. It has yet to fail me. And it's just such an asset in the kitchen. Cream cheese is good and incorporated. We're going to add the mascarpone cheese. Let that beat into it for a minute. Okay, we're going to let that go for just a minute, and we're going to come back and start adding our eggs. Now it's time for the eggs. We're going to add those in one at a time. And you're just letting it mix in until you don't see that egg anymore. You can see the volume of the batter increasing with each egg that gets added into it. Give our sides a scrape again. We're going to add our sour cream in. Last step is to add our orange zest. One more scrape of the bowl. Okay, final mix. And done. We're just going to pour our batter right into the prepared crust. I am using a 10-inch pan because my set of cake pans comes in even numbers. Could use a 9-inch, it would just be a little higher. So very gently, we just want to tap it a few times. You see that bubble? It'll release any air bubbles that are in there. You don't want to hit it too hard, you'll bring the crust right up into the cheesecake batter, and that's no good. This is ready to go. We're going to add our water. We do that when we put it in the oven. It is very important that you exercise caution if you are using a water bath when you go to remove your cheesecake, or if you're turning it or checking it or doing anything with it in the oven. That is screaming hot water. It can tip and burn you so easily. So do be very, very careful if you are doing this. I always put it in like this. I add my water, close the oven door, and let it go for a while. Just give you a quick look while we add the water. It's just warm right now, so not a real concern of getting burned. But as it sits in there, of course, it's going to get very hot. So you want to make sure it comes up around the side of your pan a little ways. Obviously, don't overflow it. The cheesecake is out of the oven. It looks perfect. It didn't rise up too much. It is done. You can tell when you touch the middle, your finger isn't sticking to it. You're not pulling any away. You can see there's not any jiggle to it. It's not soft in the middle. So we're gonna let this cool. Once it's cool, we will put it into the refrigerator. We're gonna let it sit in there overnight. Tomorrow we'll come back, we'll heat around the edges of it just to loosen it, run a knife around the side. We'll be able to take it out of the pan onto a plate and then flip it back onto a serving platter and enjoy it from there. To depan the cheesecake, we need to warm the bottom and sides just to make sure that it'll release easily. The easiest way, if you have a gas stove, is just going to be to run it over the flame. You're not trying to cook it or burn it or do anything, but you just want to get a little heat because it's been chilling now for 12 to 20 hours. It shouldn't be so hot that you can't handle it. It just helps release that cheesecake without breaking it. To finish depanning, we're going to go ahead and take a knife around the edge. Whoopsie. Try to stay within the edges. Don't make a mess. Just squish it back in there if you do. Ooh, got off the thing a little bit. And there you go. You can tidy up your little edge, scooch it over. Cheesecake's ready to go. As always, we are grumpy and grateful for you to continue to follow, like, and share. We hope you have a great day. And remember, gotta get some grumpies.